So you like Hondas and you have $5,000. Well, this is the video for you because here are the 7 best Hondas to get for under $5,000. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Also, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and leave a comment telling me what your favorite Honda or Acura ever built is. Anyway, coming in at number 7 is the 7th generation Honda Civic Si. These vehicles are literally shaped like hamburgers if you put all of the veggies and stuff on one side and then like chopped it in the middle, so like it kind of shows where it's like outdented because of all the stuff. Anyway, that's my weird comparison for the day, but anyway, they're just such cool vehicles. Like, this is the last like hatchback shaped Civic hatchback ever sold in America, and you can get them with 160 horsepower and a 6-speed manual and front wheel drive, which I mean, that's just a staple of Hondas, right? Every Honda has front wheel drive other than a few Acuras, and yeah, I think that's really it. Anyway, no, they're just such good vehicles, and they do have pretty good tuning potential, which is a great selling point. And of course, it is a Civic Si, and they have a lot of aftermarket support. You can do so much with these vehicles, and they're dead reliable, and they can be found for around $3,500. And coming up in the number 6 spot is the Acura TL 3rd generation. These vehicles are literally Honda Accords. I'm like fairly certain they're Honda Accords, or they might be something else. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure they're Honda Accords because they're like big Acuras, and like the new TLX, that's just a Honda Accord, so I'm pretty sure the TL is also a Honda Accord, but I don't know. Anyway, they look really cool. They have a lot of sharp lines, like especially in the headlights and the grille. They're just like so sharp and defined, and that's what I love about this specific generation of the vehicle, is that everything in it is just so sharp, and like not many vehicles around that area just had like such sharp and good looking lines. Like most vehicles were, I mean, like the 7th gen Civic Si, for example, that thing's literally shaped like a piece of melted cheese. It's horrible. But no, the TL, like, it's just so defined, and that's why it stands out so much on the road. And not only that, but they're dead reliable, and they have amazing tuning potential, and you can get them with like heated seats and a bunch of other cool stuff. Plus, there's a Type S variant, which is a little hard to find for under $5,000, although that's not impossible. But I'm specifically talking about the base model just because that's the more accessible version for most people, and they're great vehicles, especially as daily drivers. And next up is the Acura CL, which is such a weird vehicle. I don't know if I like these or if I hate them because they're so weird looking. But either way, these Acura CLs are really cool vehicles because they were only ever sold as 2-door coupes. You can get them with a 4-cylinder or a V6 with an automatic transmission or a manual. There's so many options with this vehicle. It just happens that they're so like ugly, but they're also so cool. That's why they're higher up on the list than the 2 previous vehicles. But they're just so ugly. And like, it's sad to say because I know that there's definitely like some person out there in the world who loves these. I just don't know if I like them or not. But either way, they're great vehicles, and you can get them for really cheap, for like $2,500. And they do, like, if you mod them, they can look good. But, like, they're just not the best, really. Just don't get these. Don't even buy these. I might take this out of the list. Don't even buy them. They're just ugly looking. And next up, back to Honda, is the Honda Civic Si 8th generation. These vehicles, I always talk about them because they're really good vehicles. They're great cars, like especially as daily drivers, but they can also be tuned so much. They're available as coupes or sedans, and they come with a 6-speed manual transmission and 201 horsepower, which, in my opinion, is pretty good, especially considering how lightweight the cars are. Like, they're just such great vehicles. If you want to throw them around corners or drive them around, you can just do so much with them. And when I say throw them around corners, I don't mean drift. They handle good, but you can't drift them. They're front-wheel drive, so if that's what you thought I meant, I didn't. I promise you, okay? I'm not stupid. Maybe a little, but not that much. Anyway, I just think that these vehicles are really good, and I really hope that people really start to appreciate these, because although they are kind of, I don't want to say ugly, but like kind of goofy looking, they're not bad cars. They're not as bad as people make them out to be. Anyway, coming up in the number 4 spot is the CB7 Honda Accord. These vehicles are really cool looking. In my opinion, they're just like, they really capture the classic look of what the Accord used to be, which was just a boxy mid-size sedan. And nowadays, I do actually like the 11th generation Accord. I think it looks better than most of the other older Accords. I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I just wish that they had a cooler version, and then I'd like it more, but I don't. Anyway, back to the CB7. It's such a cool vehicle. Like, they look good, but and most importantly, they're cheap and they're reliable. And while you can't get that much power out of them because they don't have the best engine, they are still fun to drive because they're lightweight. They are like pretty small. Like, back then, vehicles were much smaller than they are now. I mean, that's pretty clear as vehicles get bigger and bigger every year. But the CB7, it's a little smaller than newer Accords. I'm pretty sure it's smaller than newer Civics, honestly. But either way, it's a great daily driver, and despite being old, they're very reliable. And coming up in the number 2 spot is the Acura TSX. This is technically another Honda Accord. It is based on the Honda Accord Euro R, which is a very cool vehicle. It's a cool version of the Accord, which is sold in Europe and I believe Japan, although I could be mistaken. And they're so cool. All right, they have one of the best Honda engines as far as tuning goes. Second to the K20A2, it is the K24A2. If you take a K20A2 head and slap it on the K24, it improves airflow so much, and it really helps with power and tuning. And overall, this vehicle, like, they look really good. Like the TL, they have very sharp lines, which I think makes them somewhat iconic, which is something that is hard to say about just a mid-size Acura sedan. Especially like when the 2000s were, or I guess how Acura was in the 2000s, like they weren't really cool like they are now. And I mean, even now they're not popular. They do make cool cars. Like, I love how they're making Type S variants of all their vehicles, especially with like the new Integra Type S. That's cool. But back then, Acura wasn't that cool. You know, the Integra was dead. They had the RSX Type S, but that wasn't that cool. I mean, it is now, but it wasn't then. And overall, the Accord Euro R, or the TSX, wherever you're from and whatever you call it, is a great vehicle for under $5,000. And finally, coming in the number 1 spot is the Acura RSX Type S. Like the CL, this was only ever sold as a coupe, except it just looks better. The CL was ugly, and the only redeeming factor is, like, they are kind of cool, but they're ugly. Whereas the RSX, I mean, you can get a base model RSX for super cheap. I'd personally go for a Type S just because it's a Type S and Type S's are cool. But either way, the RSX Type S is such an amazing vehicle, and Acura hasn't made anything like it since. Like, as far as coupes go, or just like fun little lightweight cars. I mean, the new Integra, I guess, is kind of like that. But the RSX is just such an iconic vehicle, and it was sold as the DC5 Integra, I'm pretty sure was the code name for it in other countries, or I guess in other continents. And they're just great vehicles overall. They're extremely reliable, and they have Honda's best engine ever built, which is the K20A2. These engines are very reliable, and you can make a lot of power with them. They're great for tuning, and most importantly, the RSX Type S does look pretty cool. It has a massive community and a lot of aftermarket support.